Hello everyone, and welcome to my talk, Creating My First C# Module. It's a pretty interesting story about how I brought some images to render in the console terminal. If anyone is familiar with the Sixel protocol, how's work with that? Right? Sean, yeah, I know you know. So yeah, let's get right into it. First, let's thank our sponsors, because otherwise this event would not be possible. So go visit them, say hello, they're great. A little bit about myself. I'm a cloud and data center consultant at Atea. It's a Norwegian company, but based in Sweden, doing consultancy for big companies. I'm actually from this town, Malmö, my hometown. I live just outside right now with my family. So yeah, it's really fun to have a conference and on home field event. I figured I need to speak then, so that's how we got here. You may recognize me from the PowerShell Discord. I'm trying to be active there and help out. It's a Discord I highly recommend if you're struggling with some issues or just want to talk to PowerShell nerds. Really, a lot of people active there, especially from this conference and the speakers. Track D on GitHub and PowerShell. So my interests, I do a lot of automations for work and at home. So that's a lot of fun to make something work all the way there. That's one of my... I'm also a big fan of doing some PowerShell, not just work-related PowerShell. So stuff like Sean's Spectre console, doing beautiful rendering in the terminal using VT escape sequences. That's really weird and fun and beautiful. So, and I do a lot of similar stuff around that space. I try and not work on like work stuff outside of work, but you can still do some PowerShell and not have it feel like work. So the background for this is we were tracking the PR actually for the SIXL implementation to the Windows terminal, and once that got merged, we were really curious to try it out because we had done. Sean had done a lot of work with the image rendering in the terminal before SIXL. So we wanted to try and convert that. And he managed to figure out how to do it in pure PowerShell implementation. But we quickly realized after trying it out that it was not going to work in PowerShell. It was just too slow. I think like the first prototype was like 30 seconds per frame or something like that. So if we wanted to do like GIF, that would be like 5-minute time to render, and then you could display a 10-second GIF or something like that. So yeah, it was not going to work out doing it in PowerShell, unfortunately. There's a lot of issues with that. So I decided to try converting it to C#, which I would say I'm very much a beginner because I feel like there's so much about C# I have no idea about. I know enough to be dangerous, I like to say. But yeah, I think with the tooling in place and like LLM, Copilot, ChatGPT, you can get pretty far, especially if you have a background in PowerShell, because there's a lot of similarities we can draw upon. So let's get started here. So these are the different image protocols that I implemented. Does anyone recognize any of them? 2 people, Sean, but you're not allowed to say anything. Okay, so SIXL is actually like from the old DEC VT terminals, if you know. It's like from the 70s. So this is like basically like a printer protocol where you can print images to screen and render them in fairly high quality. Inline image protocol is like the iTerm2 variant, where they're basically just dumping the binary data of the file as a base64 wrapped in some escape sequences. And Kitty is pretty similar, where they use the image data, wrap it up, and send it. block implementation is just using some half cell blocks, which basically say each terminal frame is called a cell. So each cell builds up like that. So you can do, with half cell blocks, you can have 2 colors for each cell. So you can build up like a block, sort of like old Nintendo for 16-bit or 8-bit thing. Yeah, blocky characters. I'm going to show a little bit about that. Yeah, that's probably not, yeah. We'll see. This is not this one. So yeah, we're just gonna show this one here. Just a quick demo to get everyone knowing what we're talking about. Wait, no, that doesn't work. Oh, I should do that. Yeah, so this is like the default available in Spectre Console. It's they call it Canvas, where it basically just converts an image so each cell gets 1 color. So it gets very blocky and yeah, hard to tell what's happening. Sean did this here, where he doubled the resolution, so you can almost make out what's happening here. It gets a little bit better if you scale it to a larger size, but yeah. And then I did a similar implementation just to have something as fallback. And then here we have the inline image protocol. And then we have the SIXL protocol. So they're pretty similar where you end up in result-wise. So yeah, that's the different protocols that I implemented. And then let's see here. Just gonna have a short demo. Was just meant to show you what we're talking about and get a little bit more context of what the results end up being. So my goals with this talk is pretty much to get people a little bit inspiration, a little bit curious. I don't think the step from writing pure PowerShell to doing parts of in C# or doing a binary model is as far as people think today, especially with the tooling and using LLM tools and stuff like that. If you're familiar with PowerShell, you can definitely go to C# and play around without too much difficulty. I'm not saying it's going to be expert in a day. I definitely don't feel like that, but you can get pretty far. So yeah, I hope I succeed. So why would you want to do it? It's a great tool to learn. Another tool in the tool belt, so to speak. Will I always use C#? No, definitely not. I will mostly write PowerShell still, but I think having the ability and understanding to know how, like the built-in commandlets and how PowerShell works, reading a little bit about that can help you a lot with your PowerShell code as well. So yeah, learning was like a big factor for me as well. And also, compile code is, I wouldn't say always be faster, but that's not true maybe, but most of the time doing something in C# will be faster, a lot faster usually. Compile code has a lot of optimizations that we can't do in PowerShell. PowerShell is a very dynamic language, so it allows a lot of things, and that usually costs something in the end, some performance. For most things, it's not a huge issue. But if you're doing like tight loops, like I'm doing looping over pixel data of an image, that's a lot of loops or iterations, then it definitely is easier to go with something like this. The compiler does magic stuff. I barely understand it, but very cool stuff. Optimization, it's not actually, what I meant with that is not the same as performance, very similar, but with optimization, I mean that there are certain types in PowerShell, in C# that you cannot use in PowerShell, not easily at least, like span, for example, and threading and stuff like that is a lot easier to handle. And yeah, memory stuff is super hard, I think, if not impossible in PowerShell. If not, maybe more than. But yeah, things are a lot easier to do in C# for certain aspects. So that's why I wanted to do it as well. Play around with span, which is weird and yeah, too long to explain for this talk, and I'm not sure I could do a good job of it. And also, I wanted to use an ALC because this code was originally meant to be Inspector, but the Inspector module. But Sean moved it. We decided that we would split it, so one module, and then Sean would teach Spectre Console library how to render. So I wanted to use an ALC, so we didn't conflict with the module, because I use both regularly. If you know, does everyone know what an ALC is? No. Okay. It's very shortly. It's an assembly load context where we basically add the libraries you're loading into a separate context so that they don't interfere with other modules. Yeah, that's very shortly what it is. I basically didn't want to get some DLL dependency errors when people used my module and Spectre, and there's a few others that use this library as well that I'm using. Okay. What time is it? Sorry. I can't hard track time right now. So, how am I doing for time? Okay, 13 minutes. Sorry. The ecosystem around C# it's very, very different than PowerShell. So NuGet is the PowerShell gallery for C#, and it is very, very big. So there's almost 500,000 packages there, against PowerShell gallery with 14,000 packages. That's quite a big difference, and there's get added stuff all the time. You can use most of them in PowerShell. I'm not gonna say all. There's a lot of just dependencies and stuff like that, but you can use the packages usually in PowerShell fairly easily and quickly. So because of this, it's a much bigger language. There's a lot of tooling around the product. There's analyzers, which is almost like the PSCrypt analyzer, but they can do a lot more, and you can tweak it quite a lot to allow it to analyze that it follows certain rules and best practices and across versions and stuff like that. Very cool stuff. And also because of the scale is much bigger, there's a lot more C# developers than there are PowerShell. Copilot and local language models or just have more training data, so they will be better than for PowerShell, for example. And that's also my experience, that if you ask it to implement something in C# versus in PowerShell, it's probably going to do a better job in C#. That might change in the future, or if you do some very good prompting or training data. But yeah, the default is that there is just more data to train on in C#. There's also the benefit that it's a fairly strict language, so you need to do I don't know. Let's see here. It's strongly typed, so you can't do conversions between types as easily. You usually need to do things very explicitly compared to in PowerShell, where it lets you convert on the fly when you compare and stuff like that. That type of rigidity, I think, helps with the tooling as well. It helps it test and iterate on it. So it produces better code, I think. So the choices with the module, I wanted to do binary module because mostly for performance reasons and ALCs, as I said. I wanted to have like something, I wanted to be easy to use. And if it was possible, I wanted to have 5.1 support. I didn't at the beginning, but I did add it later. And it was actually surprisingly not too super complicated. I needed to do a couple extension methods, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I needed to do some implementations that were not available in C# in .NET 4.7.2, right? Yeah. Does anyone know how have seen this type of file before? A CS Proj? Yeah, I'm not gonna go. Yeah, you have. I'm not gonna go into super a lot of details here, but it's pretty straightforward how you do it. You choose your properties. There's an excellent help online, and there's tab completion in here. What is interesting here that I wanted to show mainly was that I'm doing multi-target builds. So you can see here for .NET 8, I'm shipping. So this here only runs for .NET 8. And this part here only runs for .NET 4.7.2, sorry. So I can do different versions for different builds. And that's why it was very easy to add support for 5.1. I could just do a separate build and ship that. So yeah, I don't want to look too much at this, because let's look at the Commandlets instead. I think that might be more fun. I can show you where I got in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but where So it's pretty similar to a function, but yeah, the syntax is a little bit different. So here's convert to the name, what type of thing it outputs, the name of the class, and you need to inherit from the PSConfEU. There is a commandlet as well, but it's not recommended. Here we have all the parameters. So the way I wanted to do this was like, I wanted to have all my weird input stuff in this function. So in the function I can accept stream, I can do files, I can do URL, I can do base64 data pipe to it. So basically, the only thing the Commandlet does is normalize the image data that it gets and sends it through to the other stuff. So it doesn't do any rendering. It doesn't do any, it doesn't do anything at all. It just converts it to an image stream. Let's see here. Yeah, this is base64. And then we have, if it's a file, okay, do double checks here. Someone requested that it do be base64, so I did a little bit special there. And then we have, if it's an URI, it's a stream, and then we send it over to the conversion. So where I got in most trouble, I think, was when I was quite ambitious. Let's see, ambitious and chose image protocol auto. This one here, where it's supposed to figure out what's gonna show. Because I wanted to have like a good user experience where you just type the command and it's gonna show you something. And also it helps when you're gonna do, if you're gonna embed the module in your own code, so you're gonna use it as a dependency. You don't want to figure out what type of is supported. Trust me. So this was fairly complicated and not always foolproof, because there are escape sequences you can use to detect different protocols, but they do not work everywhere. Commandlets terminals don't always implement them correctly. I have the escape sequences, and I read environment variables and stuff like that, but it's not foolproof because you can't do that over like SSH or something like that. And but that's why I have like a force switch, so you can just force it out. It's gonna output a string always. But it's interesting because in VS Code, a string doing inline image data is you can actually send a GIF and it's gonna render, even if it's just in string format. So it's pretty fun. Otherwise, I have a separate commandlet for doing GIF animations. We can show that a little bit later. I do need to see. So yeah, that was the really hard part. I'm not sure we will have time to look into exactly how I solved it. So yeah, I feel like running a bit low on time. So let's just check. Yeah, let's go here. Challenges. Performance. Yeah, I talked a little bit about that. Needs to do this as fast as possible. The image on the right, I'm not sure how often I've seen this. It's what happens when I don't get the sizing exactly right, or it rounds differently. Because the way GIF animations work is you basically, each time you output an image, you move the cursor back to the first pixel, first top left, and then you just replace it. And if it's too tall, it moves too high. So it's just, you get like a very drawn out picture. It looks pretty funny on this here, but it's supposed to look like, let's see, presentations. So if we do, which one was it? It was, well, what can you do with that? Yeah. So this is basically doing outputting in an object. The normal converts to SIXL outputs a string. This here is an object, and I've hidden all the SIXLs on it, which I can actually do with an internal list, which was pretty fun. And this is an object, so you can actually do like this and see all the properties. There's no images, but you can still output it how many ever times you want to do it, which is kind of fun. So I've separated the logic to orchestrating it and creating it, and I actually hid the commandlet for to autoplay it here, and it's called in the formatting, so you can because I needed to use console write. It was too slow, so you need to write to like the buffer, terminal buffer con out, otherwise it would not work. Especially this the rendering stuff. So let's see. Terminal detection, yeah, that's not very fun because terminals, and especially if you work like me, you start the terminal from here, because then you inherit all the Windows terminals environment variables, so VT session and stuff like that. That messes up a lot of stuff if you're depending on if you're trying to figure out where you're running. That creates a lot of problems. Okay, let's see. What did I have here? And the capabilities, yeah, that they just don't respond correctly most of the time. There's very few terminals that are responding the same way for everyone. Let's go here. So one of the ways to get started, I think, would be that I do at least, is prototyping in PowerShell. So if I want to do something in C#, maybe like this, I first write it in PowerShell and try it out, play around with it, because that's what I'm most comfortable. And it's easy to test the logic and stuff like that. Let's see here. I can show a little bit about that. This window here. So I'm using actually one of the Spectre, a little bit of Spectre code. So if you wanted to do this in C#, it would be a lot easier. It's actually here. But to learn and play around and experiment, I wanted to like figure out how does it work, what is needed to create something, and yeah, this is what I ended up with. But it was a good prototype. Figure out how everything works. After that, you get a deeper understanding. So yeah, let's see, exploration. Because that was, yeah. I really, has everyone heard of the module Class Explorer? It's written by Cmdlet Science. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable. He works on the PowerShell team. He has a cool module where you can pretty much do a lot of exploring in .NET and PowerShell. So this is sort of like Get Member on steroids, where you get everything nicely formatted and can find whatever accepts, like, how do I create types like this, and try and figure out. And it's very useful when you're doing some exploration and trying to build up prototypes and stuff like that to find everything here. So you can just easily try out things. Okay, let's see. I need to speed. Let's see how many. Okay. So we can do a little bit more to there. So yeah, I highly recommend trying out the module and just looking up how can I create something. How can I find whatever this type accepts and whatever. How do I create something like this? So very useful for that type of work. I did everything here in VS Code. I know there are the normal Visual Studio, the full suite. I did try it out, but I did not have a very good experience there. Most of the time I did just use this here. But I will say that use that folder where you have the SLN file, otherwise the Solution Explorer doesn't work. And then you don't get syntax highlighting. Well, you get syntax highlighting, but you don't get completion. So you definitely open the project directly. So that's, otherwise you get, it just silent, it fails, and you get really annoying. Let's see here. We did some demo thing. Let's see. Yeah, we did. If you wanted to try out making your own Commandlet, I have an added example here. I saw that Bruce Payette also had one, but yeah. Very easily, this is pretty much what is needed to create a Commandlet, a binary Commandlet. So it's pretty similar to doing a function. There's no logic in here now, of course, but yeah, that's all that was needed to create Commandlets. So I think people should try it out and play around with it. Doing sort of hybrid stuff, I think, would be a good start. If you have a module that there are some very heavy operations that you need to do, like very tight loops, or just offloading certain parts, either if you write some in your own C# or if you use an external library, it's very useful, I think, to get some good easy gains there. Yeah, I get to my tips page almost at the end here. So yeah, the different ways you could start with getting more comfortable with this would be adding small pieces of like adding some logic for a class, trying out that, offloading it. Yeah, doing some hybrid stuff. So where parts are in PowerShell, but maybe you're using a .NET library to have some extra functionality. And then if you want to try a full Commandlet where everything is just in DLL. I highly recommend checking out the PowerShell repo and just looking how they write Commandlets. So it's a very good way to use as a boilerplate, a template, I think, or learning how people write. Otherwise, Jordan has a lot of cool stuff that you can check out. Very nice modules. I use a lot of his stuff. His ALC stuff is really nice. Justin and Emmanuel Palm did a really good talk about creating your first module at the conference at 2003. This is a YouTube link. All the stuff I've shown will be on the repo later. Deep.net is a new series, and I don't know, it's perhaps not the most beginner friendly, but it's pretty interesting because they do go over things in quite a lot of detail, and it's very interesting, I thought. Yeah. Stephen Tobe is one of the developers on .NET. He has a pretty, I would say, epic blog post that is close to a book. It's several pages long. It's very cool. They do a lot of performance improvements in each .NET version. So that's also a really fun way to play around with that if you're doing a binary module. Our last one is ILSpy, which basically lets you look at the source code of DLL of some .NET. So it's very cool if you haven't seen it. You can actually do some fun stuff. So let's see, where did I put my... Here. Takes a little bit of time. Decompiling the binary file, the file. So you can pretty much see exactly in line how does this function look of the commandlets. So you can take some inspiration and say, okay, we're trying to figure out why the code behaves in a certain way. This is a very quick way to say, okay, I'm sending it this. What's it doing with it? Why is this not working? This is a very good way to enhance the troubleshooting and just look. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but I think it's a pretty fun way to figure stuff out. I enjoy reading and learning about different ways to solve a problem, basically. So I think that's all. I do have some other stuff we can show, but yeah, do you have any questions? Okay, let's start here at front.
If you were to do this again from scratch, but is there anything you would change about your approach?
I would probably make all the image protocols as separate commandlets, or at least have the front outer-facing commandlets there. So, because figuring out which protocol is supposed to be used is very hard and a little bit error-prone. You can still choose yourself with the parameter, just but yeah, auto detection was a bit rough and is still a little dodgy. Yes.
As there is scaffolding already, or how do you scaffold the project for Sixel Module?
How I scaffold it? So I cheated and took Jordan's scaffolding. Yeah, but you should check out. Let's see here. GitHub. Yeah. Let's see here. So I'm using a special scaffolding to use the ALC stuff that structures it, and I think Sean did a little bit this folder structure and stuff like that. He was like, you can't really do the way I did it. So he broke everything up and put it in nice folders. Yeah.
Stuff. There's a thing as well I learned about .NET. You do all the research around how. I think there are templates potentially for PowerShell modules.
Yeah, there are some modules I'm aware of. Yeah, definitely. I did hard mode, yeah. So there are .NET templates where you can deploy the scaffolding and stuff like that. Yeah, I did hard mode. I just I had some code. I wanted to get it working, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I actually have. This is not using a template for, so to speak, but you can use this to create like a starter module, get writing. So yeah, so, do we have any questions else? Yeah.
And it says the most important thing to pick up and start.
I think the most important will be to use VS Code correctly. No, but I usually open VS Code in like my base where I have all the repos and everything I work with. So I just click around. I don't want to move, change. And when you do that, you don't get like the language server doesn't work properly in the C# dev kit. I think it is. That's so you don't get completion, and this here doesn't work. And when that's not loaded, you don't get auto completion validation, and you don't get like the. It doesn't tell you when you're missing like line ending, because basically you need to end lines with, well, yeah, stuff like this, semicolon always, and it doesn't warn you when the language server is not loaded. So you get something like, oh, I missed that. Sean? Control-Shift-P? Ah, yeah. Ah, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, it just silently, and it's tricky because you get syntax highlighting, so everything looks the same here. But then you're just like, oh yeah, that must be when, especially when Copilot is gone, because that's just gonna, oh yeah, that works. That's allowed. Yeah, so definitely having the solution loaded so you get proper completion, validation, stuff like that. That just makes it a lot easier. And then scoping, I think, would be a lot, also make it easier. So not figuring out all the different protocols. That was because compared to Sixel, the other ones are pretty easy. So I figured, yeah, I mean, we can do them. It's not a lot of work to implement them. It was pretty easy implementation. But now I have to figure out which I'm gonna use where. So that was a very interesting. It's still not perfect. There's oh, yeah, let's show. I think it was here. Do we have any other questions? No? Oh, sorry.
Are you using to develop binary modules via Visual Studio Professional? I mean, full Visual Studio Professional.
No. I tried it out quickly, but no, I use Visual Studio Code exclusively. I do everything in there. It was good enough for me. Yeah, Sean?
I don't know if you've done your testing input, but if you were writing a binary module, would you write your tests with .NET unit testing?
Yeah. So the question was if you're doing a binary module, are you doing the testing in Pester or .NET tests? Which is actually a very good question. I do Pester test. If this doesn't, let's do this. What? Yeah, I do both. That's actually what I'm plan to do. Implement testing in C# as well. See, oh, yeah. Oh, that's not gonna work. I don't have that loaded. Yeah, but the testing is done in Pasture. I want to do a C# test as well in the future, but so far I've been so focused on getting like the GIF working. This took a lot of work. Yeah, I think I'm out of time. Is it few minutes? Okay. Let's see, presentation, Sixel asset. So this is kind of fun and pretty fast to render. If we do very silly and useful. It was fun. Yeah, GIF is sorry. I should have. I only use alias in the terminal. So GIF is convert to GIF SIXL GIF, and CTS is convert to SIXL from my module, which is called the Sixel Module.
Are you able to show how you debug your commandlets? Just like how to step through.
Yeah, I don't. I think I broke my the launch settings for that. I was doing some other stuff. I think I broke the launch settings, but it should be. I can show how it should work. If you go into the code and add breakpoints, when you have proper launch settings starts work, it should show you a debug window where you can track and see what the state is of current. Pretty similar to how PowerShell works. I did some stuff with the launch settings, so I don't think it's gonna work now. But yeah, I did. I can show you something pretty cool. You can actually smuggle. You can actually add a commandlet in your formatting. So that's how I do. Instead of needing to pipe the GIF object into show SIXL GIF commandlet, I add this in the formatting and just pipe it there to sort of make it a little bit nicer, because you can just output the object and every time it's just gonna play it. That's what I felt. That was a pretty nice quality of life. But yeah, what else? Yeah, you couldn't do, because that's basically only creating the commandlet is very simple. It's basically only creating a cancellation token and then calling a .NET method. But you can't actually create a cancellation token from the formatting. You have to do it from a commandlet, otherwise you can't do it. It can't create one itself. And the cancellation token is very important if you want to be able to cancel out the rendering of the GIF. Otherwise, people are going to be stuck just seeing something repeat, or if someone changes the loop count, like, oh god, why did I do this? I can't get out. So yeah, the cancellation token was very much needed there. But yeah, Jordan helped me figure that one out actually. And I can show you. I have 1 minute left. Will I have time to show a sneaky way to do something? Let's see here. Oh, SIXL GIF. So this is the object output by the GIF commandlet. And I put here as a test. You can actually do an internal list. Internally, public means everyone can see it. Internal means like everyone within the project can see it. Private is just local to the class. But so I thought when I output an internal list of SIXL frames, once it left the assembly and entered my UI when I assign it to command, for example, it would lose that internal, but it actually does work to send it back, which is pretty surprising. I thought it would tainted by something. So yeah, I mostly do this because I don't want people to like format list and just wreck their entire terminal, or exporting it to JSON or CSV, because each frame is ridiculously large. So yeah, that was just like a little bit helpful. Okay, I'm out of time now. Sorry. Thank you.